Okay, I think we're like this. Yep. So, um, this stream is following yesterday's progress I made with writing here. So, what we've done until now is here. So, a recap. Watched this video with um, uh, 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 here. So the video was David Perell's podcast with Steven Pinker, and I got a lot of nice principles to follow from that video. Majorly 7 principles. The first was curse of knowledge, that forgetting that your reader hasn't lived in your head. The idea is that you might come from a technical background where you use a lot of jargon and you do not directly communicate in simplified terms because you assume that the other person knows the same thing that you do. A lot of people do that mistake. I have been a victim to that. Not a victim, but rather I have been a culprit to that problem. The simple fix is always ask what does my reader already know and what are they missing. So rather than assuming a specific base knowledge, we're supposed to uh, assume that we're not supposed to assume, we're supposed to know or try to find out what they know. So imagine I have to explain um, laws of physics to a child. I am not gonna say, "Yo, this is inertia, this is momentum, this is the speed, this is vagera vagera." I'm gonna think in terms of what examples would they relate with. So um, if I have, let's say, a client and in a relationship coaching, and that person has a medical background, I would use examples and analogies that they would personally relate to or would understand better. So it feels personal, two, it feels less frightening or foreign in their own sense. So that is the simple fix. Then there is right for a specific reader, not everyone. I do this a lot. I give out general statements where I assume or I become more philosophical. So saying something like, yeah, one very good example, I do this a lot. I use people, the word people, or a lot, or most people. So I kind of assume that there is a majority who I am speaking about, rather than specifying who I am talking to or who I am speaking about. So I need to work on that. Then the problem is aiming at a random sample of population. Find the ideal reader and write for them. So rather than talking to everyone, rather than writing for everyone, write for a specific audience who will probably be the people who we are trying to find, will stick, will engage, and are also the people who would gain the most, who would find your teachings or your writings the most effective. So write only for them and leave out everyone else. It's basically niching out, right? Then there is making it visual, concrete over abstractions. This was a very good finding. I do this, like I do this by default, but this kind of made it. This kind of gave me the validation that I needed, that I'm doing the right thing. It says make it visual, concrete over abstractions. The brain thinks in images, not words. So the title of the stream is "Paint, Don't Write." So rather than scribbling words, think of it as drawing a sketch or drawing a diagram or painting a picture. So whenever I'm writing, I'm going to show you samples which I did yesterday. whenever I write about something, I am trying to put the reader in the situation which I'm writing about. So, for example, if I have to write about a traffic jam, I can write, oh, um, I can write about the traffic jam. I can write about what I felt in words, right? But I can also write sensations. I can also write bodily feelings. I can also write um, nuanced insights. For example, there was this piece I wrote. Here, in almost every childhood picture, my clothes are wet of my own tears. So rather than writing about, in my childhood, I used to cry a lot, right? It makes the same sense, but this is some more of an illustration and can be imagined really easily. And this sticks. Words do not stick. Images stick. Okay. Then there is yes. Then there is examples. Generalizations need examples and generalizations need each other. So rather than giving vague examples of something, give vague generalizations, give examples, and rather than giving examples, whenever you are giving examples, try to generalize them to expand your point if it is valid in the situation. This one is very subjective, but I feel it works more like a guardrail than a technique of what not to do rather than what exactly to do, right? Then there is omit needless words. I really like this one. I tend to um, add a lot of words where they're not needed, right? So I try to expand or try to elongate a point to convey its importance. So rather than doing that, I can use specific words to make it more important, or images or visuals, rather than just emphasizing it in terms of number of words or the time it took to read about that thing. So it's very similar to imagine you watched like an hour of a session, and for half an hour, the speaker was talking about a specific point. Naturally, you're going to think that the topic they spoke more about is more important comparative to the other points, which are like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, right? So it's that, but in actuality, those 5 minutes, 10 minutes point might be more important. Just because it took more time or it covered more space on the page does not mean that it's automatically more important. So I need to sort of consciously remove that habit of trying to elongate a point just to prove its importance or make an impact. All right, then there is read it aloud. This helped me a lot. I generally never read what I write before sending it or before publishing it. If even if I do read it like mumble it. This says that I need to completely like read it out loud multiple times, so I understand if it's flows. Because even when we are reading something, there is a voice in our head. It's not that we are reading it and it's registering directly. We are reading it in a specific voice. We are trying to imagine stuff while doing it. So reading a piece is a whole experience, and when you're writing a piece, you're trying to engineer that experience. So, what is the reader gonna imagine, feel, think, question, or even assume? So, we need to provide an experience with all of our writings. Then LLMs write clearly but generically. This was kind of a insight for me. I'm not too much into LLMs and AI. It said there was this example that if you take like 1,000 pictures of high school students and ask AI to generate like a random image, the image it produces will probably be like an average or more than average attractive face. So the idea was that it recognizes patterns and moves toward clarity, not exactly aesthetics. So if I ask AI to write something, it will write very clearly and it will have a very good structure. But that does not mean that will not be it will be beautiful or it will be impactful. So it says that it is bland and instantly recognizable, human freshness, specificity, and a point of view. So this is one of the points I used in the last one. So there was this piece I wrote, this one. Driving over a bridge, you might expect cool breeze, but what you get is an unavoidable urge to roll your windows up because Yamuna really stinks. So stinks. It's a typo. So the idea is that this piece would never be written by any AI because it kind of is a personal view of things, or I'm trying to convey an experience that the AI has never had. Even if I kind of tell the AI that this was my experience, the words or the phrasing or the structure I'm going to choose, AI is never going to choose this. Probably the one AI chooses is going to be more effective, or it's going to be more clear, it's going to be more structurally perfect, grammatically perfect, but it will not have the human touch because my experiences does not come from an average of a lot of experiences. It comes from my own understanding of that particular experience, or my own importance, or what's the word, my own subjectiveness of that experience. Okay, so we did this. उसके बाद this was the score. What I kind of still struggle at is examples and generalizations, and omit needless words. And there was one more. Sound and rhythm was fine. Oh yeah. So one thing you might notice, I ask a lot of questions, right? It's almost like I'm trying to think while I'm writing, or I'm not sure about what I'm writing. So it is fine when I'm writing like a fictional piece, but it is not fine when I'm um, writing a YouTube script, let's say, or when I'm trying to provide validation of a specific sense to my viewers. So in that sense, it's okay to kind of be unsure when you're writing about a particular piece, or when you're trying to give the experience of inquiry or inquisitiveness. That's fine. But when you're trying to explain people's feelings, or what is happening with them, especially in psychology or emotional science, um, then you're supposed to be accepting and kind of sure about what you're trying to say, right? All right. Then this is going fine, right? Yes. Perfecto. Then what are we gonna do now? Abhi, what I want to do is either write a YouTube script because I have a lot of ideas, and try to write about the topic and make it more vivid. Then check the 81 wala score. I want to score higher than that while remembering all of these principles. I want to do it like in real time. Okay, one is writing. Okay. So two tasks. Let me open a sticky note. Alright, an end-to-end YouTube. Alright. And then, what else do we need to do today? For now, let's focus on this, right? Alrighty. What can the original piece be about? I am thinking to write about something that will provide a fair ground for practicing. What topic can it be? Because eventually I'll be writing about the YouTube script. Let me pick the topics. These are all of the frameworks I discuss in my coaching. Right. Self-esteem, self-concept, reality perception, congruence, discrimination, difference, problems, false premise, first order consequences, feelings versus emotions, emotional hijacking, window of tolerance, thought, emotion, action, system 1, system 2, neuroplasticity, behavioral inertia, crash outs and burnouts, abuse, psycho, guilt, social image, limits of control, process of change, linear progress, willpower, validate the VIE model, and the journaling framework. And conscious living, of course. Okay. Uh, these are probably all of the video ideas I'm going to be following. So let's not sort of uh, infect our base knowledge. I want something specific enough. I don't want something vague like right and debating. Something I'm passionate about. Let's see. Okay, let's write about so I want it to be around physical abilities of a man in physical abilities of a man in terms of emergencies and conflicts. How it is at confidence it's efficacy. The core idea seems to be a man who knows he can handle something physical, a fight, a crisis, carrying someone out of a burning building. Carries himself differently, not because he's aggressive, but because the question has been answered. Most men have never been tested. That is true, and they know it. I'm not too sure about that. Physical capabilities is the one confidence you can't fake. True, but then there is a lot of assumption. This is the halo effect. People who go to gym are considered physically able in the sense that they can fight, but most of the time they can't, and most of the muscles are not functional. We've got physical weakness over. We've made physical weakness a virtue and it's showing. And to some degree, sure, it's not about fighting, it's about knowing you could. That is also true. Uh, uh, uh. Most men have never been tested. Yes, but I don't think they know it. Plus, lack of, not lack of aggression. I want to include social conditioning. Most men haven't been tested and they know it, and the culture has actually stopped them from finding out. Nice. Okay, let's do this. 200 to 250. I'll try to stay within the limit. Yeah, these are the three pieces I wrote yesterday. Nice. Okay. Topic: most men have never been physically tested and they don't know that's done to them. Opinion piece. A man in his 20s who considers himself confident, goes to the gym, has never been in a real emergency or conflict, and has never thought about any of this. Your goal, not to shame him, to make him curious about a question he's never thought to ask. What would I actually do? The constraint: you cannot use the words toxic masculinity, alpha, or weak. Those words shut readers down before you've made your case. Find your own language. Fine. Toxic masculinity, alpha, or weak. Okay. Open with a moment of social conditioning, something specific that happened to a boy, made you, maybe someone, maybe you, maybe someone you know, not a statistic, a scene. Okay. Opening तो मेरी strong होती है. Okay. Physical conflict. सोशल कंडीशनिंग की वजह से कभी नहीं सॉरी फिजिकल एबिलिटी की वजह से कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं. Full majority change. Yes, I know exactly what I'm writing about. Okay, so this was when I was in like 9th or 10th class. Was this lockdown? I think 9th class, maybe. Probably 9th class. 9th में तो यार, was it 9th? Maybe 8th. 9th I wouldn't have taken it. Probably 8th. Okay. I've been in so many fights, mate. I've been bullied and I've bullied. Being the bully. Disconnected. Anyways, was afraid of seeing my own blood. See again, questions like was afraid of seeing my own blood. Had seen it before. Why did I stop myself? Is there any virtue? I had seen it before, so why did I stop myself? Is there any virtue in Unfairness. Think not. I felt my jaw twitching. Was I afraid of? I felt my jaw twitching. Being punched in the face isn't fun. This was far from my first brawl. I felt my jaw twitching. Being punched in the face isn't fun. This was far from my first brawl, and like all of them, I had an audience. It's unexpected. Audience. And it didn't deliver. This was far from my first brawl, and like all of them, I had an expecting audience. These were friends who shouted my name. Here's 6. Jaw twitching, we punched in the face isn't fun. This was far from our first brawl, and this was far from unexpecting audience. These were friends who celebrated when I had a 6. I still miss the song. What song was? These were friends who celebrated when I had a 6. They were cheering to see me stand up to the police. वीक यूज नहीं कर सकता ना टकनेस यार फॉर वीक ओके same look. Protagonists. Seeing my own blood. I'd seen red before, so why did I stop myself? If there any virtue is there any virtue in self-control in the face of unfairness? I think not. And I would like to believe, even though I had been one myself at some point. Maybe it was just karma taking its course. For the time I made that timid classmate jump in the pool with his clothes on. Tears, when nobody could see his tears. What's the chemical you put in swimming pool water? Chlorophyll? Chlorophyll, yeah. Then everybody mistook his tears for you get the idea. I'm trying to connect the 2 points. And I like bullies even though I had been one myself at some point. Maybe I'm using maybe a lot, yeah. Maybe. I never liked bullies even though I had been one myself. Maybe it was just karma. Perhaps it was just karma taking its course for the first time I made that timid classmate. For the time I made that timid classmate jump into the pool with his clothes on. Just jump. This stuff reminded me of. No, that reminded me of the chlorine. This has turned into more of a journal than the fucking topic I was writing about. Let's see where it goes. Is learning how to punch make you less of a target? I know how to punch. I know how to punch and kick and run. I didn't. I did none. Didn't none. I did none. Why did I bully him specifically? So, why did I bully him specifically? Maybe it's because I feel majority of Cheng being punched in the face isn't fun, but this was far from my first brawl. I like them all. Like all of them. Like them all. Brawl, mall. I had an expecting audience. These were friends who celebrated my night as six, the same ones cheering to see me stand up to the bullies, or maybe they just wanted to see a fight. I had that The crazy look from time to time, the stare that makes villains respect the protagonists. I was afraid of seeing my own blood. I had seen red before, so why did I stop myself? Is there any virtue and self control in the face of unfairness? I think not. I never liked bullies, even though I had been one myself. Perhaps that was just karma taking scores for the time I made that timid classmate jump into the pool with his clothes on. Taste of blood in my mouth reminded me of the chlorine mist. His tears, standing there with his head dropped, drenched and humiliated. Would learning how to punch make him less of a target? I know how to punch and kick and run. I did none. So why did I bully him specifically? I wouldn't raise a voice, let alone a hand. Struggling. He had never seen his father stand up for himself or him. Ah, fuck. Let me repeat it. Ratatatatatatatata. think I'm going too off track with this one. Physically tested, yeah. Let's save this for like a journaling thingy. Yeah. Okay. Let's start over again. Most men have never been physically tested and don't know what that's done to them. Aye. Lieutenant. Almost made me want my mother cringe on the list of dead students and dead soldiers on the border. Character in anime destined to be me made legend. But it wasn't patriotism. And heroism. No, they changed the case of my classmates. But it wasn't patriotism or heroism. It was the changed gaze of my classmates. They were envious. It was the changed gaze of my classmates. Lieutenant Lovepreet Singh, and I was a veteran in a workshop at school, almost made me want to make my own crime job. The list of dead soldiers on the border. I feel like a main character in anime designed to be made a legend. But it wasn't patriotism or heroism. It was the changed gaze of my classmates. Envious. More about their opinion of me than the country. Get more about their opinion of me than the country. I couldn't do shit. Courage. The Naomi, the one who reads philosophy and knows when someone's trying to con him. I know. Took a shot. Oh shit. Hey. 1600-meter race and still regretted coming to school that day. A man in his 20s who considers himself confident, goes to the gym, has never been in real emergency or conflict, and has never thought about any of this. बहुत लंबाई खींचते रहा हूँ मेरे को लग रहा है. Lawpreet Singh, the veteran workshop at school, almost made me want to make my mother cry. Fuck off. So fucking irritating to not be good at this shit. Shall we take a break? No, let's take a break.